and welcome to Anava Yoga Studio. I'm Kat, for those of you who haven't joined one of my videos before, and it's lovely to have everyone here with me today for our foam rolling stretching assistance chat. So even though we can spend a lot of time stretching and things, that doesn't necessarily always mean that we aren't super tight or creating tension in our muscles, and that's why a lot of us all like to go and have massage treatments and things like that. But sometimes it can't get there, feeling a little bit tense, and the stretching could be made easier by using something that we can help massage ourselves with, i.e. a foam roller or a spiky ball or something like that. And even if you're not feeling tight, giving yourself a little bit of a roll over a massage roller, foam roller or a spiky ball can still just make the stretching feel a little bit easier. And if actually what you're wanting to do is to get into a nice sort of really stretchy type practice, having done a little bit of rolling can kind of just loosen the muscles up in a little bit, so you don't feel that you have to do a really big warm-up before you actually try to go into some stretching. So there are different types of rollers. I've got 3 here, so you get the really sort of knobbly type ones, or the smoother ones, and there's, you know, what you like using is totally up to you, but essentially we're going to use them all the same. The foam ones can be quite nice to actually use as a prop with your stretching. The knobbly ones maybe not quite so comfortable to lay on top of, but that's personal choice. And then we've got the spiky massage balls, and if you haven't got any of those, just something simple like a tennis ball, it could be used to help loosen the muscles off. So how long do you roll for? 30 seconds, 2 minutes? You certainly don't want to be spending hours on each different bit of the body. And some areas that can feel nice to perhaps work on are your big muscles on the front of your legs, your quads, your big ones on the back of the legs, your hamstrings, and also just rolling around and massaging up and down the spine and the shoulders. You could use the floor, you could use the wall for a little bit of support. It is all really about personal preference about where you want to get into. So I'm actually going to use the little one for today. So if you just want to kind of get into the hamstrings, we can lay on top, and you can do this 1 leg at a time or 2, and you're just going to roll yourself forwards and backwards. And like I say, if you do that for 30 seconds or maybe a little bit longer, that will can just start to help get into the front of the legs. And then it's exactly the same for the back. And again, you can do this with 1 leg or 2. Sometimes if you give yourself a little bit of support like I am here, then there's not so much weight into the leg, because obviously we've got this one for support. As soon as you come on to 2 legs, then more weight is going through the roller, and that can feel a little bit more uncomfortable. You could do your calves as well, and sometimes if you find that sort of down dog A-frame type position in yoga a little bit tight along the heels, it can be quite a nice way just to kind of roll out through the calves. And you're rolling from one joint to another. So if we're doing the calves, we're going to go from the ankle to the knee. And then if we're doing the tops of the legs, like the quads or the hamstrings, you're going to be rolling from the knee to the hip. If you haven't got a roller and you've got a ball that you can use, and it needs to be like a tennis ball, like I say, you've got the spiky massage balls, you could use a harder ball than that. If you're feeling really super tough, like a golf ball or something, you can again just roll around, and you can actually go a little bit more side to side. And then you might notice you hit a little point sometimes that's a little bit uncomfortable. You can also do the side of the legs where you're rolling from knee to hip. So putting a little bit of weight onto the outside, which is going to get into the abductors on the leg. Or you can also do, I'm losing the mic, the front of the leg, not the front of the leg, the inside of the leg, and then we're going to come around onto the front. And again, we're looking at that sort of space from the knee in towards the hip, and you're going to roll that way. And if you do find you get a point that's a little bit sore, you can sometimes just roll over that bit, see if you can iron it out a little. So that's the legs. And again, you can stop, you can pause this. This is, you know, just to kind of, if there's one that you think, oh yes, that's the one I really need to work on, stop, pause the video, find the bit that you need, and go back and work over that area. So the back then is another big place that we like, or that can sometimes feel stiff and get and affect your practice. So you can lie on your back with it, and you want to think of going up and along the spine. So if you've got a knobbly one, it can sometimes feel a little bit funny if it goes across the bone. So if you've got a smoother one in the middle, it kind of feels like you've got space for your spine to roll. And then we're just going to go all the way along from one end to the other, just taking your time. Sometimes you can get little crunches and cracks, that's just where things start to release. And then when you feel like you've rolled out enough, then you're ready to kind of move through into your practice. And then you can do the same thing to get into your hip muscles. And again, we can sit on the ball here, on the foam roller, roll there, or maybe even make a figure 4 shape, crossing right leg over the left and rolling over the right hip. Or if you've got your balls, you can lie with the ball under each hip and do the same thing there. Just give a little rock and roll around the balls, and I might find a few little spots there that are a little bit uncomfortable. Like I say, aiming, if you do 30 seconds, 2 minutes, doesn't have to be a long time to just make the muscles feel that little bit looser before you come into some stretching. You could do the same with arms, and we've talked about this before with arms and hands, particularly if you've got a ball. Just rolling your feet or your hands over the ball. And then the last one, then place you might want to get into is your shoulders. And you can do that up against a wall, or, my mat's slowly sliding, or you can come onto the floor as well. And just pop the ball underneath the shoulders and roll around, and perhaps loosen up the shoulders before you coming into some stretching for the upper body. So there's some little ways that you can actually try and loosen things off before you come into stretching. And then when you're stretching, you could use the foam roller a bit like a bolster. One nice way is to actually have it in underneath the chest, so you create a natural opening through the front of the shoulders. So in yoga, this is a bit like our fish pose, and you're making a little back bend, opening out, and you might find that if you roll a little bit further down or a little bit further up the ball, you get the most support and the best way of opening through the upper body. And then our other option is actually putting it in underneath the hips. So this is where sometimes having a bigger option, we can come to lie down, just being careful that it doesn't roll with you. And you can use it for a supported bridge or shoulder bridge pose. And you can just allow yourself to rest over the foam rollers if you were using it like a block. And then another option is if you're if you're finding that the hamstrings are really tight and actually sitting flat. Obviously we can talk about putting a cushion or something like that, or a rolled up blanket in underneath the knees, or sometimes it can help to put the foam roller in underneath. So you can use the roller as a prop, like you would a block or a bolster in the stretching. You can try sitting on them, but you can roll around a little bit over them as well. So that's kind of just a very quick look at how you can use the rollers or self-massaging, easy self-massaging props to help get into your stretching a little bit more, make the muscles feel a little bit looser before you then actually get more deep into your stretches. Quick whistle stop tour. If you've got any comments or questions below, then please let me know and I'll do my best to answer. Like the video and remember to subscribe to the channel. All right, take care now. Bye.